Hello and welcome to Game Brain, a board game podcast about our gaming group. I'm Ben Mandlicker, and joining me today, two luminaries in the world of board gaming and life.
Luminaries,
Matt Robinson and Paul Satachet. Hi guys, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm well, Paul. How are you? Let's pretend to be saying hi for the first time.
This is great. I am
You
present.
Guys, you are present? Are you present?
Present.
We're all present. We're well. We're excited. There's so much to talk about. So many games to talk about today. I'm so excited. I'm actually really excited to talk about games.
Yeah.
Have you been doing, Matt? I feel like you haven't been on the pod since I think our best of 2023.
I think you're right. Yeah. I've been good. This has been a wild time of busyness. But everything's good. I feel like most of my gaming happens in my head or online watching videos of other people game. But we have had a few gaming sessions that we'll get into at some point. But my game brain never sleeps, no matter how busy I get. In fact, I feel like the busier I get, the more my brain wants to relax with gaming. So I think a lot. The more with busy work, the more I sort of find myself becoming obsessed with specific parts of gaming, and which has definitely happened in the last few weeks. We'll get into that.
I actually feel exactly the same. I feel like I've actually been abandoning my non-gaming friends a bit, and also my non-gaming activities, because I do feel like in high stress situations, I need board games to like mentally unwind my brain. And you would think it would be the opposite, because you're exerting so much brain power, but to me I always feel like it's a mental massage when you sit down and play like a heavy game and work through some sort of puzzle, and you come out, you're like, I was able to devote my brain to something other than the logistics of some bullshit. And I have to say, big shout out to Paul, who's right over there, by the way.
It's me.
Last week, I put on my other podcast, Watch What Crappens. We did this big ass show downtown LA, and Paul ran our backstage, and he killed it.
I killed it.
Good job, Paul.
I want to give you those.
Thank you.
Credits.
Live. All of our listeners will now know.
Yeah.
Paul, the backstage guy.
Paul was bringing people back and forth. He was on top of everything.
I love it. I was at your show last year, and it is a very impressive show. You guys put on a big show.
Thank you very much. Well, it was even bigger this year, and
it was great. It was great. I think everyone was very happy, and I got to sit back and watch a little bit. Like, oh, here's a side of Ben that I don't really get to see.
Right? Because I feel like sometimes on Game Brain we get very serious.
Exactly.
We're like, guys, I just feel this way about this mechanism, like we just kind of like, there's just no balance in this deck. And then we do get like a little serious, even though we're like, I think funny, light, goofy people.
When we are.
But when you start podcasting, sometimes you get yourself whipped up into a frenzy about like really specific things. So it is fun to go out on a stage and wear a pink suit and be goofy.
You were like, I go, oh, in this life, Ben is like silly forward.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, this is so different than my interactions with him, on the Game Brain. So it's hilarious.
Yeah, so we just have
and you are a chore at game night. I mean, you are absolutely exhausted.
A chore.
Oh my god!
So
I can be. By the way, I can be.
You're like a kettlebell. Like, oh my god! I'm just so tired of swinging this. Oh my god!
I mean, look, there are times I feel like sometimes I use this podcast as like a therapy session. I'll be like, I just was going through it the other day, but there are times when you show up.
When you're time for relaxing and recharging your battery is so important that anything that gets in the way of that or makes it harder can really be triggering.
That's a really great way to put it, because I think everyone comes to game nights with different ideas of like what they want out of it. Some people,
but everybody comes needing it.
Everyone comes needing it. Sometimes I feel like I need it more than anyone in the room. And I think those are the times when I get saltiest. I'm like, you guys don't know what I need right now.
That's why it gets real.
It gets real. No, but I mean, it's interesting because that's why game nights are perpetually fascinating. It's why there's always so much talk on here about not just the games, but like what the experience was like, because I may be coming in, or you may be coming in because you're so stressed out from like a project you're working on and you need to unwind. Someone else may be coming in because they just want to like hang out with people. Someone else may be coming in because they have a game that they want to try. And so, and like all those things are usually dovetailed.
Somebody's
but they
tired and
don't.
wants to play a light game that's only 2 hours. And some people haven't played a heavy game in weeks and they're just dying to it. And they feel like all they've done is play light, medium weight games for other people.
Yeah, then someone's just got a new game today. And
everybody else has read reviews of it and knows it sucks, but doesn't want to blow that person's bubble.
But no one wants that.
And half the game's already played it and they're like, had a horrible experience, but that person's so excited.
And then when you're just trying to relax and just have fun, but you're playing a game of politics, you're just like, so it's an interesting balance.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier just to go home and watch TV.
Who has to play with Paul?
Yeah,
Who's going to take the hits?
Welcome to Game Therapy, everyone. This is a Substack of the Game Brain podcast.
But I think it's something that everyone can really relate to. That's why I think we had that podcast recently. Like, what's the best way to choose a game? Because like there are so many emotions that actually kind of get dragged into that simple act of just say like, let's play a game, because we all kind of have different things going on in our lives that we want to somehow be like remedied by the game that we played that night, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it's really tough being the both of you. I just go in and go like, I'm happy to hang out with my friends. Like, yeah, we're gonna play this game. Great.
I just feel like the person who only gets to game once a week and has 2 children should always just get to pick the game.
Yeah.
And that just happens to be me. I'm not trying to be that person. I just am.
Yes.
I just am. And I feel like that person, everyone should just do whatever that person wants every week.
I can't wait for your kids to go to college so you can stop pulling the kid card.
That's right.
I'm like, as someone who has no children, well, you know what? It's like, there was that Sex in the City where Sarah Jessica Parker, I remember seeing it when I was younger and being like, that's sort of funny. But now as I'm older, I totally get it, where she's like, I'm so sick of buying presents for other people's weddings.
Yeah.
And I'm not having like, remember she had like a registry for herself. Yeah. You know, it's like, I don't have a kid card. I want my kid card, but I don't want kids. How do I get a kid card without the kids?
Yeah.
Maybe a plant.
Sure. Yeah. I get it.
Guys, I've been watering my plants all week long. I need to play
metaphor?
a game.
my plant's dying. That's what you say. Like, you know, like my plant's dying. I really need this. Like, we gotta play.
I do have some sage that's in bad shape right now. So
Ben, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Matt, so you're not watching the Traitors, right?
No, but you guys feel free to talk about it. I'm not watching it on purpose. I would love to watch it. I just I watch other things. We're
not gonna obviously this is not a TV podcast, but I do think it's so. I think since the last time we talked about the Traitors, which is maybe a few weeks ago, this show is now a phenomenon. And I'm not just being
it's a thing.
bombastic. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Every major publication is writing think pieces about it or finding ways to write about it. Men's Health wrote an article about it. There's nothing on that show that relates to men's health, but they just wanted to be part of the zeitgeist. I think where, in terms of where our podcast is, like, I think it's super cool that a reality show that's based off of a social deduction game that's really in the board game world has blown up, and that is so huge. And now you have millions of people all sitting around watching and talking about what they would do in that situation, and this is how they would lie, and this is the case that they would make. It's kind of priming lots of people who maybe have never even played Mafia to maybe become like curious about this space. You know,
curious.
Just wait until my 16th century farming reality TV show pitch finally hits, because if you think Men's Health likes Traitors, they're gonna love Agrica TV,
hosted by Sofia Vergara.
That's right,
Agricity.
Well, it sort of reminds me of like when like Iron Man came out and like the beginning of the Marvel universe kind of thing, where you go like, if you were a comic book person, you go like, is this really happening? Are we going mainstream? Is this happening? And it became mainstream. Like, I wonder if like this is it. Like, you know, like you start with this social deduction game and it starts growing into something that.
Why did Iron Man feel like? Why did you get that feeling as a comic book nerd? Like, oh, we're going mainstream when Batman had already been so massive. Was it that just like
because Iron Man was niche? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was just it was a character that most people had never heard of, or if they had, they were like, I don't know anything about that character.
And Iron Man was expansive too, like in the sense like, oh, you had Iron Man, and then you had this idea like a universe growing. Because like when you read a comic book, you read your character, but like there are all these other characters that. Whereas, you watch Batman, it's just Batman. Like when Nolan goes like Dark Knight, Dark Knight is so great, but you don't think of Superman in that era.
Right.
And so once Marvel did that, then DC tried to catch up with that. But like it was very interesting to see. It wasn't like, Iron Man is becoming something. Like, comic books are becoming something. As opposed to when Batman came out, it was like Batman is good.
So does that make Phaedra Parks Iron Man?
Phaedra is it's so weird. There's so many think pieces about how Phaedra is like Tony Stark. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Well, I'm obviously like we've talked so much about the Traitors, and I talk about it a lot on Watch What Crappin', so we don't need to belabor it over here.
Is the whole season out? Is it like do they just dump it? Like, or is
so
it
last year that's what they did. Last year they dumped it, and then people got really mad because a lot of people were spoiled. Yeah. So what they did was they dropped the first 3 episodes. And now they dole them out cruelly once a week, and every week you end kind of gasping. Yeah. And this week, I literally I cursed at the TV.
And what is it on? Where can you watch it?
It's on Peacock.
It's on Peacock.
It's the #1 reality show across every single platform. It's like the biggest thing right now. It's probably got millions and millions of views.
Way to go, CBS.
Yeah.
Is that CBS or
NBC?
NBC? NBC.
But
I'm always like, which one has the Peacock?
But what I will say is that
movie guy.
Yeah, movie guy here.
Peacock, home to the Traitors and also Love Island, also a very important show.
And if you want to watch Oppenheimer, it's on Peacock now.
And Oppenheimer.
Sponsored by Peacock. Game Range sponsored by
But I mean, it is also interesting watching these people who don't have any social deduction background. It seems like developing their strategy. Like they are now like thinking in ways like it's fun to see a meta develop. As you watch.
Yeah, I mean, well, eventually they're all just going to end up where Tom and Dimitri and Trey are with Avalon, and just have a set of rules, and then we just watch people just recreate the exact same rules and play the same game over and over again and act like it's interesting and new.
Or maybe they'll end up like Mike and still not totally understand how to play the game after 20 years.
No shade to anyone here.
No shade. No. Okay. No. This is
no shade to anyone here.
No. Mike is deserving this one, and the reason why. So we me. I'm with you, Matt. I don't need to tell Avalon stories, but I will say that last week we played Avalon, and I've been actually a bit more Avalon interested because of the Traitors. Sure. I've been like the things I talk about in the Traitors, and then we get to play Avalon or these games. It makes I'm sort of excited to do the my Traitor cosplay, And so we were playing, and I was a bad guy, and I feel like I had learned the lessons of the Traitors and many Avalon games, and I was doing such a good bad guy game, and I was killing it, and I was so proud of myself, and then in the end, with bad guys we won, and Mike was a fellow bad guy, but our entire victory was nullified because Mike kept his thumb up when Percival is looking for Merlin, so whoever was Percival thought Mike was Merlin when he was actually a bad guy, and it fully nullified the game, which I don't care. It broke the game, and I don't really care if winning or losing trade. I mean,
but it's a waste of time if you're just breaking the game.
But it's but it was more just because we had fully pulled the wool over Tom's eyes,
right?
And now Mike has robbed us from being able to, be
smokescreen, baby.
Yeah,
smokescreen.
Mike, but it was very, very funny.
Sure,
it was funny, but also
I'm glad I wasn't there. Would not have found it funny.
I literally feel the tension on Matt right now. I go,
I know.
It's my time.
So glad
the Avalon moment is over. I don't indulge Avalon moments often, but I felt like in that moment,
no, it's good. It's a good reminder to me
of why you never want
to play Avalon again.
Never play it again. Yeah. Well, what do you want to play?
Well, so I have, and I think this could actually potentially lead into an interesting conversation if it goes that way, but I've been much more interested in deep diving games lately that I really enjoy than learning new games, which has been very opposite of what I've had for the last 10 years. I mean, I would say easily my favorite thing in the last 10 years is learning new games. Mm-hmm. And now I'm much more interested in playing the same game 100 times. That to me sounds much more exciting, much more interesting, and I don't know. Maybe the last year has just burned me on so many new games that were just good, and then I never think about them again. And it just, I don't know. I find myself much more looking forward to a game night where I'm playing a game that I know I love, and we're all going to get a little deeper on it than just risking another medium weight Euro that feels like a 7.
Right. I mean, this is the time of year to do that too, because now like there are not a lot of new releases.
So there's no Gen Con.
Right. So we can just kind of like go deeper in games. I mean, I feel like I aspire to that also, and yet I'm always buying new shit.
Yeah,
But
I've
not
kind of
as
stopped.
quickly as-
I've
not
kind of
as quickly.
stopped. That being said, I have 2 new games coming on Monday, but like
He's slowing down. He's not.
I
stopping,
pre-ordered
folks.
these like 6 months ago, so they're not new purchases. But
Yeah.
it's so anyway, the thing that I've become obsessed with Root, which is a game that I probably haven't played in 5 years.
Really?
And I haven't really thought about it in 5 years, and has been on my shelf. It was a game that when it came out, and the year it came out was 2018. When it came out in 2018, we played it a lot.
Yeah.
But we just played it in a cursory way. Just we played probably 10 games of it. Everybody tried a different faction once. We had the rules down. We never probably played with the same group twice. So every game was probably a teaching game, which feels like that happens a lot when we're playing these new games we like a lot. And that to me is a frustration, because it's like we never really get to play the game, because it's like everyone in the group knows it's the hotness and wants to play it, whether it's Nucleum, whether it's Hegemony, where it's anything. So every game becomes a teaching game for a month or two.
Yeah.
And by the end of that month or two, something new's come out that we're going to just repeat that cycle with over and over again.
Yes.
And so we never really play it. We never really push the boundaries with it and try different things and actually find out if it's worth 100 reps or 10 reps or what. We usually just go like, yeah, everybody's played it. Everybody's tried, if it's asymmetrical factions, everybody's tried most of the factions, and we all know the rules really well now, and it will go on the shelf for 5 years. And so, somebody on our Discord was talking about Root, and I had happened to, it had sort of been in my YouTube algo recently, of just because there's a big competitive community of Root, and I just always see the videos and I go like, oh, that's neat. That's cool. People are having fun with that. And then I just wanted to get into it, and I started doing a little research, and I realized that Root got really interesting in the last 2 years, mainly because of the latest expansion, which is the only expansion I didn't back, because I was just like, nobody's ever going to play Root with me. So I like stopped buying
So of course
expansions.
that's the best expansion.
And of course, this is the one that like profoundly changes the game, because they came up with an advanced setup, which is basically the draft from Age of Innovation, which is like every game, you're going to get a different flop of factions. You're going to get a different map. You're going to get a different breakdown of things. And it's about the system. And I love systems.
Right.
If I love the system, I'm happy just to play that system forever. Age of Innovation is a good example of that. I love that system. They found an infinite repeatable version of it with such a high ceiling of depth. Love that. And it felt to me, oh shoot, Root has that now. And I got into it and I started looking at it, and all the factions are so interesting. And it kind of got away from this, what we felt was not as interesting a meta at the beginning, which is just the base 4 factions. And we had some bad experiences with them, because that's what happens when you're learning an asymmetrical game and somebody finds the easy route to victory points. Then everybody goes, oh, that's broken.
Right.
And no one wants to
And then
play that
everyone-
faction. And then people sour on the game.
Yep.
And then cut to, what is it now? 7 years later, and the game's in a really interesting place with 10 different factions. There's been multiple balances. They have an entirely new advanced setup.
Huge community of people
that have
playing it.
banged on that game for the last 7 years and really found that it holds up to as much scrutiny as you're willing to put into it. It's a really fun competitive game, and it plays in 2 hours, which is exactly like Agricola, my other favorite game. It's a 2-hour game, and it's deep. And every time you play, there's more to learn. And I don't know, I got obsessed with that experience. So I reached out to some of us and people on our Discord and was like, okay, I'm not going to expect to get this at the table at game night very often, because it's, not a great, I don't want to be teaching it. I want to be playing it with people who are as excited about it as me. So our friend Andrew from the podcast said he was interested. And I reached out to Paul and to Jordan, and they were like, we're down. So we're going to do like a weekly TTS game of it. And then I reached out to you. I was like, I don't think you like Cole Whirly games, but like, it just felt weird to not ask if you're interested. And you were like, I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
And
Whirly.
so
Whirly,
I'll give it a
exactly.
Cole Whirly.
I give it a cold whirly.
And so we played it live last week for the first time for you. You had never
My
played
first
it before.
ever Root.
And do you want to talk us through your experience playing Root?
I had a BFR, baby's first Root.
I was like, am I supposed to know what that means?
I was like, big fucking...
Not to
what?
confuse the BBL. I want to say famously have not connected with the Cold Whirly games, but like famously really gives me way too much credit. But I have said on this podcast many times, I just have not. I've always been like, that was interesting. I see what he's going for here. Oath is one I really did not like, but to be fair, I only played it once, and maybe I wasn't in the mood to play it, which, you know, I have to be honest with myself. That does, you know, that's what happened. But you know, I can't always blame games. I got to blame myself sometimes. But so I was like, I don't know about deep diving Root, because like to commit to a weekly thing for while you want to deep dive Root, there are games I want to deep dive, of
course,
and there's like games I just want to play, and so to commit gaming time to something that I've never been terribly interested in by a designer who I've struggled to connect with, was like
pretty easy pass.
It was a pretty easy pass for me, but I thought, you know what, like this could actually be pretty fun, and like I tried to actually take myself back to when Trey did an episode about Root like a few years ago, and when he talked about it, I remember thinking that seems really interesting and fun, and I've already bought the app. So I was like, you know,
there's a digital app for Root that has 8 out of the 10 factions and the advanced setup on there. So
yeah, it's on like the Switch. Mine's on my iPhone, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this because honestly, I'm an American hero. Sure. So why not?
Believe it or not.
So no, but so I did play it. So I was the vagabond.
We played base map, base 4 factions, because Ben had never played it before.
We just did vanilla Root, as one might say.
With the Exiles and Partisans deck, so not totally vanilla. With the better deck. That's also a huge improvement of the game. There was originally a deck of cards that had a handful of problematic abilities,
like racist. I was thinking too,
racist squirrels.
No, they just sort of made the game a little more unbalanced, a little less fun, and also they had overcosted all of the crafting items to a certain extent. They were harder to build and too expensive. And so after many years of testing, they released an entirely new deck, and it was like, this could replace it if you want, or now you have 2 options. But in the competitive community, the original has just been thrown in the trash.
Okay, so we played with that. You guys did give me an overpowered beaver as my vagabond.
Yeah, you played the Tinker.
I played the Tinker,
is considered a very strong vagabond character.
What are the other vagabonds? Is there a Tailor?
Tinker, Tailor,
and a soldier,
exactly.
And a spy?
Yeah.
That's right.
It just, I mean, I can't help myself,
No,
guys. But it would actually be very funny if that was the vagabond.
There's just a Jean Le Carré vibe to the whole thing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Cole Worley likes, Jean Le Carré a lot.
But so you guys gave me like a starter beaver.
Yeah.
This is so going in the direction that I was not expecting.
I'm gay. I don't know what you guys are laughing about. I don't know. I don't understand what's funny here.
Baby's first beaver.
Baby's first beaver. It was
Baby's first beaver.
It was my first beaver. So anyway, so I had this beaver, much like Bucky's.
Yes, right.
Bucky, the problematic mascot of America's favorite rest area. So so I enjoyed it actually quite a bit. I thought it was a very fun experience. I'm not gonna lie. It's been about 4 or 5 days. I really have not thought about the game since. Like it was. I had a very fun time playing with the two of you and Jordan. And when it was over, it was out of sight, out of mind. But I don't hold that against the game because I'm aware that I played a very sort of like starter kind of faction.
Yeah. The most asymmetric of all the factions,
right? And I was sort of, and I had the really good beaver. Yeah. So like,
and
it made it easier, and I won.
Yeah.
And I won. So then I was like, do I even need to do a deep dive on this? I think I've solved the game.
You solved it, yeah. Like for me, my game started like there was only one point of my game, which is basically where the factions go, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna give Jordan the.
Oh, I loved this. I love this little issue you and Jordan had,
like the Woodland
Alliance. Yes, and Jordan was Woodland Alliance. You were the Eerie, and I were the Cats.
And like it's like Ben picked the Vagabond, and we're gonna go reverse turn order to pick factions. I go, no, I just take the factions and I just delegate. Like Matt's gonna play the Cats, Jordan's gonna play.
Let me just take 10 seconds. If you don't know what Root is, it is a highly asymmetric war game. It's designed by Cole Worley. It plays 1 to 5 players. It's mainly a 4-player only game. That's how I would play it. And it is highly asymmetric factions who are all striving to get 30 points to win the game. And there are 10 factions, and think of them like fighters in Street Fighter. They are all completely different. They do different things. When you're fighting different ones, you have to figure out how to fight them. And that's the game.
Yeah.
With the skin of like really cute animals that are killing each other in this forest.
By the way, like so that's the thing that I've always heard about Root all these years. Oh, it's a war game, but it's disguised as cute little animals, and because it's cute little animals, da 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 da. And I feel like sometimes people say it dismissively, like, "Oh, the game's trying to trick us. Like it's going to give us, birds and raccoons and beavers and cats, and it's like, but it's a war game, guys. Don't be fooled." But it's like, no, that theming does a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
A lot of
and they
heavy
really
lifting.
use the theming.
Yeah,
They
nature
use
is
it,
savage.
but like it is just, it's an engaging theme.
Yeah.
And it automatically, it leads with fun.
Yeah.
Actually, which I think is extremely important. Like I always used to think of myself as someone that's like, theme is nice, I don't really care about it, the game has to be good. But I've come to realize that theme is like actually massively important in games.
And every faction has one of those moments where you're telling them what you can do, and somebody goes, "You can do what?" Like every faction has one thing that's like, well, that's broken. Like,
Right.
and that's exciting to play that.
That's fun. So my experience with it as this vagabond, I had a lot of fun because what was cool was that I was just crafting things. I was going around.
You were questing.
I was crafting and making life better for things. I was visiting people. I was giving them cards.
Aiding
And you
them.
guys kept on saying to me, you were like, "Now, Ben, as the vagabond, you can attack someone and then they can become like, they go from an ally to being hostile. And they're hostile the rest of the game, but you're going to get so many points when you attack them." And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I want to play the
Friendly.
gentle
beaver.
gentle beaver.
That's right.
Friendly beaver.
Not vicious beaver.
Yeah,
Gentle-
just your
The giving beaver.
The giving beaver. So I just sent my beaver all around.
You were giving beaver.
Everywhere. And so but I was in all honesty, I was playing like the nice game where I just kept on giving cards, and it was great because I was going around.
There's a lot of points in that.
And in the end, I had gathered a bunch of cards and I spammed you, Matt,
Yeah,
with cards.
that's
I
what you
made
do.
you my best friend, and then I just raced up to. I just beat.
You
I just
killed me
won.
with kindness.
I literally killed
He
you.
killed us with kindness.
Killed the whole table with
Now
kindness.
the downside was I had a fun time playing my little card game. I had my little puzzle of how I was going to craft things and do my cards. When it wasn't my turn, there was not a huge amount for me to do. I could sort of see, okay, I want to go to that location next.
Yeah. Because we didn't take an hour to explain to you how every single faction
course.
works, which is because that's how you can't. That's not how you're going to learn root.
And like you guys gave me overviews of all your factions, and they all made sense when you guys said it. But for some reason, like in practice, I was like,
it's like
what's happening again? What's like, huh?
it's like a foreign language.
It was a little bit like I saw you guys interacting. I didn't understand what it meant for me.
Yeah.
Sure.
And how I could exploit it. So it just sort of felt like I was just waiting for my turn.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of like, just watching you guys, seeing you guys talk and everything. And then it'd come back to me and I'd do my little thing. And then I'd just watch you guys. So it was but I was keenly aware that this was a learning game. And I knew I had a low or an initial play, low interaction faction.
a harder to figure out what the interaction is on a first play character. 100%.
Right. So I knew that. I didn't hold it against the game. But that was like just my first thing was that I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. But I also was like, okay, I feel like I would like to see more in terms of like, because I felt like this was nice, but it was not, this did not blow me away.
Those are the 4 least interesting factions in the whole game.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
But that being said too, is that at the end of the game, I looked down at my player board and I was like, wow, there are so many levers I'd never even pulled.
Totally.
And that was cool. Like I didn't do any of my quests.
Yeah.
I didn't become hostile. I didn't craft any special powers. I just crafted little items. So I could definitely see.
And no one ever
there was
attacked
stuff.
you either. You never were attacked and you never attacked
He's the giving
anyone.
beaver.
Yeah. Well, it was a learning game. We didn't want to
I'm
just
a tinker.
bang on you.
You're like, don't if you if you make Ben mad, he will never play this with you.
100%. But like,
You guys were like, Jordan, don't attack Ben.
well, there's partly my calculus. I was going like, oh, who should I play? He goes, it isn't who should I play. Who should I make Jordan and Matt play? And I was going like, oh, Jordan, he wants, like, if I give him the cats, he's going to be too catty. And and then not catty anyway,
right?
And Matt might have too much fun with the woodlands. Let me just give it this way: it'll frustrate Jordan. Matt will not be as aggressive as Jordan, and I will. And I was like one round from winning, and I would have won if not for one simple misunderstanding. And I wasn't playing to win; I was playing to like see if I could get Jordan frustrated. And it did.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan also, to be fair, Jordan messed up something. He was not like doing
He wasn't
something
getting
with
his
the-
supporters the way he should have.
Right.
For 2 rounds, he was, whenever somebody would give him a card that was supposed to become a supporter, he'd put it in his hand.
Like my favorite moment of the game was when Matt goes, "Oh man, those guys are so strong. This have an 18-point move." And then I go like, "Oh, that's the perfect thing to say to Jordan, because Jordan's going to look for it, and he's not going to be able to deal with it, and he's going to have that posturing, that looking down, like
Yeah. He kind of figured it out
like,
at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was close. It was.
it was very close.
I enjoyed it. Like,
Yeah, we were all within 5 or 6 points, I think,
Yeah.
by the last round. Yeah.
I mean, again, I would not say that it did not light up my
Yeah.
brain and say, "Oh my god," but like for
Well,
sure,
I love that you gave it a chance to see if it could.
And so you guys started up a digital game, and I was last to jump in. So I'm not in the digital game, but I did fire up my app.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to play as the cats. And I started playing, and I was massively confused. So I'm going to have to redo the
Yeah.
I'm going to redo the tutorial for the cats.
Sure.
And I was moving. I mean, I knew the basics, moving the cats around and building buildings and such.
It's a heavy game. There's a lot going on.
Well, I think that there's just something about the way Cole Worley designs games where they just don't necessarily stick in my brain.
Totally.
The concepts are like squirming toddlers in my arms. You know, there's certain games I often call like squirming toddler games. Like for a long time, Mombasa was like that for me, where it's like I see what's going on here. It's like I'm trying to embrace this, but it's just squirming and trying to get out of my arms right now.
Yeah.
And but
I think I have a similar experience with Cole games, but I something about it, that squirming toddler, makes me want to tame it. You know,
well, you're dad.
Yeah,
you know,
probably.
you know these things. I don't have kids.
That's true. That's the difference. That's
Oh, you should be able to choose whatever game you want to play because you're a dad.
Thank you for pointing out what should be clear to everybody. Thank you. So I've been obsessed with Root, and it knows no bounds, and I love a game that, like, if I get excited about it, there's 2 podcasts for me. There's 5 YouTube channels. There's a competitive scene. There's 4 different Discords. I dig that. I like a world to get lost in, whether it's movies or books or games. If you give me a world to get lost in that I enjoy, like, my brain will consume all of that information until I tire of it, and I'm not tired yet.
I would really love to do a deep dive on Food Chain Magnate, honestly.
100%.
I thought that was going to be my 2023 thing. Like,
I'm
when I
down
set
for
up
that.
just because there is so much on there, like I have the
Still
expansions.
haven't played the expansion.
You haven't?
No, I had a
I
child.
You need to catch up,
I
Matt.
turned British
Yeah, you
there
did.
for a second.
You need to catch up.
I do need to catch up mechanic. That game literally came out when my second child was born. So yeah, missed it entirely.
Well, so Paul and I. I'm actually sad, Paul, because we didn't play it. I don't think we played it all into 23.
Yeah.
But the two of us and our friends Stacy and Judy, we'd had some plays of it, like I think late 2022. And they were the first play, they were like messing up. The second play, they were like then getting much better. And like it felt like it was going to be a thing where the 4 of us would be like, this will be a game for the 4 of us that we were going to deep dive.
It was like a wine and food chain magnet night kind of thing.
And it didn't really happen, but I would love to bring that back because
let's play Tuesday.
yes,
Let's go. Paul's not coming. It's perfect.
Yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
No, because it's such a fun game.
It's a perfect game. It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Is like a game like that to just like play a lot.
Right. And like as much as we talked about on the best of 2023, like we have to really like dive more into horseless carriage, etc.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to do that.
No, food chains first.
But food chain first.
Yeah, food chain first.
For me, like the game that I want to do that with is Indonesia. But like it has that 5-player problem.
I love that game. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
I would like to play because we played that last year. I've already forgotten the rules. I need like another like 1 or 2 plays to cement the rules in.
Yeah, no,
because I've already forgotten the rules and my takeaways from it. But I remember I thought it was great.
Yeah.
TV dinners.
But TV did. But the new version is supposed to be coming out.
It is.
No, but there's another. You're not saying it right. It's.
Well, I've never been to Indonesia, Matt. Have you?
Well, it's also not a real word. That's something we know. But you're not remembering it correctly.
Am I saying it wrong?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
rice and
Siap.
Sefaji?
Salamat. I'm just remembering my Indonesian
Sabada.
words now. But
Beaver.
You guys keep talking. I have now.
Okay, well, in the meantime, because you have been, by the way. So, one thing that I've been doing since I've taken over the social media, one thing that I've been doing that, but I personally really enjoy it. I don't know if anyone else does, but I really enjoy it.
Everyone, if you go on our social media, please heart all of Ben's stuff because we
heart it all.
Because like for all of it, like Ben needs affirmation, and we no one else wants to do it.
Do.
So let's
I
have
do.
Ben.
Please. No, I have started up a thing on our social media where every Friday or so, or maybe even on Thursday, I just sort of I poll everyone who's in on the podcast. And I say, hey, what are like the top 5 games you would be excited to play this weekend?
Sorry, Siap Faji.
Siap Faji.
My bad, everyone. My Indonesian is not very
If you'd
good.
like to issue a formal apology.
Yeah, to all those people.
Well, you will be making a YouTube video apologizing. For
That's
it at
right.
some
Like,
point.
yeah,
You'll be sitting on the floor, no makeup, very bad lighting.
like tearing, like
Hi guys, this is a video I never thought I'd be making. That's how it'll start.
That I realized, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Gwyneth will walk by you and say, I wish you well.
I wish you well. That's right.
Anyway, I'm doing what I've been doing on our Instagram is I've just been polling the group, basically like what are the top 5 games that you would be excited to theoretically play this weekend, or like what is a game on the brain? Someone lives in between that space because
And it's not actually, it's rarely ever just new stuff.
well, lately it hasn't been because there haven't been a lot of new games. So actually, we've had a lot of, Agricola and Netrunner have been big on that, but you have noticed have been putting Indonesia on lately. It hasn't made the top 5. It's interesting because there's actually so many games.
Yeah,
I only put up the top 5, and it's usually not just 5 games because there's ties and everything, but there's like a whole wide variety. And what's interesting is that everyone has such varied interest in this group. Like everyone wants to play different games. So you've been pushing for that. Matt,
some of us are quite literal with it. It's only games they think they're going to be playing that weekend.
Okay.
And some of us are,
Well, Matt, you are truly the
question.
tastemaker of the group. I mean, this is why this is ultimately, you are like the leader of the podcast still, because
leader of the podcast.
No, because what's fascinating, because now I'm watching the games that people
Pick.
and you have been the most on trend, quote unquote, with Game Brain for all of these. And the reason why is because you share a lot of interest with different people in the group.
Right.
So what happens is...
if I get obsessed with something, I try to find whoever else might want to be obsessed with me because I like to have an obsessed friend.
Exactly. So like you and Trey are always putting Agricola,
boys.
and you and Jordan are always putting Netrunner, and you and I are often both putting some like 18xx or something, and then you might have like an overlap. You might pull in a Paul or a Tom on one of those things. So it's been really fascinating.
You're saying I game the system
Game Brain system.
I get in the top 5.
Yeah,
because we get there's gonna be a trophy soon. Whoever gets the
No, I mean, Matt, you are like. So the question is, are you the most influential, or do you follow
or
other
the
people?
most
or the biggest
obnoxious?
follower,
or am I the
biggest leader,
most
biggest follower,
or I just like bug people and wear them down until they're willing to play
there
the
can be
games with me I wanna
intersectionality
play.
about that. Two things can happen. True.
But I've been excited because some interesting and fun games have definitely like.
Can we just say real quick that I know we say it every week recently, but like I gave Ben the Instagram account. I was not using it well. I'm not good at that. Ben, forget everything you knew about our Instagram.
That's right.
Okay, have you done it? Okay, go to our Instagram because Ben has been really using it and it's fun and you can see more of us. You can see the games. He's posting pictures of all of our game nights. He's coming up with these really fun little skits and moments and funny things. And you see what games are arriving at his house that he's unboxing. It's Game Brain Pod on Instagram. I promise you it is the second best content for our podcast outside of the podcast.
I am having a lot of fun with it. I'm doing things. I would say that our for sure our social media is now about 5% gayer for sure, because I've definitely already done like a Golden Girls post, I definitely did that. I definitely compared games to like sitcom theme songs, and I literally made a sitcom opening credits this week that made no sense.
It was great. That was great.
But I was like, I don't care. I mean, social media is there to have fun with. So I was like, I'm gonna make a sitcom theme song for us,
I think you do a great job. Everyone,
Thank you.
Please support this because I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to do it. But it's been really, I really love doing the weekly poll of seeing what people are excited about. It's fun to see what is trending. One thing that what I think is kind of cool is that this week we saw a lot of excitement, and even last week a little bit, we saw a lot of excitement for an obscure game that I kind of like unearthed out of the depths of my closet called Franchise, which is a game that I don't think a lot of people know about. It's like a random Queen game. It's game from Queen's game.
Right.
It's not a game
About Queens.
about Queens. And it is a remake of a 1998 game. So Tom will like it. It's by it's called Franchise. Tom loves the classics.
Sure.
So I'm sorry. The original one's called Medieval Merchant.
Oh, I
Franchise.
didn't realize
It's called
that.
Medieval Merchant. It was actually has a German name like something like that.
Exactly like that, actually.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is Ben. I never thought I'd be making this video.
Fliegenklagen. So it's basically just like it's like a big wacky area control game, and you are just like you're opening. You have like it's like 1950s Americana is the theme,
Yeah.
and you're opening up a business like a
food chain
motel.
magnet.
Yeah, it's actually very food chain magnety in theme. It's like you have like you're either opening up a motel or like a diner or a laundromat or a mechanic.
Colorado burgers, baby.
Colorado burgers, and you start with your humble little franchise in some town, some random town.
Your first store.
Or maybe you'll be in like Montgomery, someplace like that. And then you expand across this map. But what's cool about it is that as you expand into the cities, each city has values associated with it. So if you move into like New York City, which is the biggest city on the map, like the highest value on it is an 8. And that means that when you get income, you get a higher, like the 8 doesn't mean you get $8, but it contributes to a value that will generate more income for you. And so you want to move into these cities and have these like high numbers in these cities, these high value cities, to have really good income, because you need that income to expand further.
You love a city builder.
I do. Well, this is more of a
Network
Expander,
builder.
Network builder.
yeah, a presence builder.
It's in the same genre, I feel like.
I get to say the word city.
For some reason, I just thought you weren't a very big area control person, Ben. But like, this
I'm
is
not.
purely area control.
This is actually just like pure area control. So what you do in this case, you're expanding, but the thing is that if you wind up, like I said before, each city has like a large number of slots, and the more people move into that city, the more they take up the slots, the value of the city drops. And so
because it's getting saturated.
If you think about it, like your market share, you're losing market share. You have competitors, you're earning less money from that city. So whoever has like the most presence in that city will then score the points for that city. So you are trying to both preserve your income, but you also want to lock down those points
for the area control.
And that's essentially the tension of the game. And it's a very simple game of just expanding and locking down areas. But it is area control.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it, because that's not the sort of area control where you spend 3 turns putting some cubes onto a map and then someone just takes them off
in a battle.
Yeah, like that drives me nuts.
It has a name. It's called El Grande, and it's very fun.
It is El Grande or Mission Red Planet.
And it's very fun.
Yes.
I think what I like about Franchise is that it's so streamlined for what it is. Like, first of all, like one of the things that you first know is like, this map makes no sense.
The map
it's
is
deliberately
wild.
confusing. It's deliberately confusing. And you go like, I don't know if I want anything that's deliberately, but you go like, oh, it actually adds to the value of it. It like to trying to figure out, oh, here, maybe I can go, I can't afford that. And it, for whatever reason, the way I describe it is like, it's more fun than it deserves to be.
It is way more fun. So I bought this game on a whim back in 2018. I played it once that year, and I was like, this was fun. I haven't played it since. It was in that space where it's like, is it Shelf of Shame, or is this about to go out the door?
Yeah.
Like this fun thing. And then I just decided to bring it like 2 weeks ago.
And then Elder had to bounce.
Elder had to bounce. Like, I think we can play this game. And we had so much fun. And then I brought it. I did a 5-player game at Tom's, and it was a blast.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this game has gone from like almost being out the door to now it's like
Keeper.
it's a full-fledged keeper.
New fresh fish.
It's a new. It's pretty fresh fishy.
You just dropping them.
I want to say about this map, like, you don't understand how wild this map is. Like, imagine looking at the Ticket to Ride map, and that has all those like simple like lines. And imagine if someone just was
Drop
like on
spaghetti
LSD.
on it. Like,
or it literally looks like spaghetti. This map is also designed by Ian O'Toole, which I love that he like has this random small game that he did a map for.
That's funny.
And I love because his stuff is always so clean, right? It's always just this beautiful, elegant design. And here it's this, it is a messy map. And you've seen, actually, I put a lot of pictures of it on our Instagram, so you can see it there. But it is, the reason why it's so good is that like a lot of times you don't realize that like, oh, I am fully connected. I'm in Phoenix, but I am fully connected to Chicago right now.
Sure.
And so what happens is you can just sort of sneak right in and surprise someone and all of a sudden be up in their city.
It's deliberately messy, but it's also deliberate. Like there's some strategy in it. Like, there was a point where I was like, oh, I'm going to lock off this whole, like, everything west of the Mississippi is going to be mine because I've locked it out. And only because, of one thing, like, Ben saw it just in time, or like,
right.
And I was like, oh, but like, there's some strategy that can be applied to this. It's really much deeper than you'd think.
Yeah, that's why I really like this game. That it does sort of feel like on the surface level, you're just putting pieces on a map, but like there's a really good above table experience that's happening where you're saying like, oh, I really need this income. Like, is this the time for me to start cutting into my income to establish, like, to assert my presence? Or I had a situation when we played on Sunday where I was like, hey, Nick, I'm going to move into New York City, but like, let's have like a truce here where I move in and then neither of us grow in New York City so we can keep the income high. And he's like, I don't know if I feel that way. And then it was like there was like this negotiation of like, hey, how about for one round, none of us expand in here? It's like, are you really going to hold to it or you're not going to hold to it? So there was like a lot more going on with this game. I don't know if you can get this game right now. Like maybe you can find it, or I'm sure it's actually in some bargain bins.
I think you're the true leader of our podcast because I may be good at getting people excited about games they used to like 5 years ago. But you have the innate ability to bring out a game no one's ever heard of, ever in their life. Nobody knows exists. And all of a sudden, you're selling copies. And
I hope
people are into it, and it becomes like a thing in our podcast. You've done that with a bunch of games that are completely off the radar.
Like
nobody
which one?
cares.
Red Cathedral?
Right, but Red Cathedral
Marrakesh, Red Cathedral.
But those are like established games. Those were like,
I feel like you've done it with some other things.
But it's like the revival type aspect of it that is.
Well, no, you're the games that slip through the cracks. I feel like you're really good at. Maybe you just buy too many games.
I think that's that. Well, City Hall. I do feel like I'm a champion for City Hall. Have you played that yet, Matt?
Yes, I did.
How did you feel about that?
I didn't. I don't remember much about it.
Okay. I really like City Hall.
But I think what is absolutely clear, and this is really super clear, is that I am not the leader.
No.
But barely in the group.
I think
am I even in the group?
Definitely on the
I've
way
been
out.
downgraded to like special guest or
You're-
just guest
you're
or
seat
like
table.
or Paul's there.
No, but Paul, what you're really good for is that you actually have that attitude of like,
This is a game
I'm
you
down
can't
to
buy
play.
anywhere, by the way, other than eBay franchise.
Really?
you can't buy it anywhere.
Out of print.
Well, so now everyone,
$50 on eBay though. It's not
Scarcity.
expensive on eBay. It's just only on eBay.
but will be soon once
Yeah,
this
yeah,
podcast gets
that's
out.
right.
People
Well,
find out about franchise. I'm sure people will. I feel like franchise is the sort of game you will find in like
The bargain
bargain bins or in random stores or like I don't know.
It's
I think
worthwhile.
It's and even if your first play you're like, oh, that was fine but not amazing. Like give it another shot.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did, and I'm like so happy. I'm like, because I can already see all the different groups I can play franchise with. It's so simple. You can play it with non-gamers. It's definitely like a gateway game, but it has that depth that a heavier gamer would be able to enjoy, I believe.
It is like, just from the map, just from the art, like it's fun forward.
It is.
And so like
and fast, by the way. It's like 90 minutes.
And what it really has, I think, really how should I like benefits it is like you get to what the game is very quickly. Like, it's really elegant that way. Like, you're like, oh, I know what this is. And then you don't spend time trying to figure it out. You spend time playing it and enjoying its mechanics.
Yeah.
And the interactions. Like, the moment you can, like, it works really well with people that you like. I don't know if playing with a bunch of strangers, would give the same experience as much as, like, here are these people, like, oh my God, you're coming into me. You can see people are above board quicker. Like we were playing with David, you, me, and David. And by round 2, we understood what the game was. And David and I had never played. And we're like, oh, well, then now let's play, the game. And it's really...
Well, and we had some really interesting decisions where, like, I locked down Florida basically. I gated off Florida, and then
Gator burgers,
and then like the next place for me to expand to that was worth that I could affordably get to was I went over to Dallas, which is where you were. Not it was Houston, and then you were like, "Why are you coming to Houston? This is my place. You should be going up to David, where David has he has New York." So I was like, "Fine." I went up to there, but then it was like this power vacuum where then you could just take over the West because I wasn't dealing with you, but then I had to go up to David, and then David then had to go over to where you were. It's like there's also a dynamic quality where how people expand is really dependent on what people are doing on the map. It's sort of in that same Hansa Teutonica space. I mean, so Matt, are there other games that are on your radar, or are you just really focusing on Root these days?
Definitely focusing on Root, but also still play and watch a ton of Agricola, and I'm still very into Netrunner.
You're on your Netrunner renaissance now,
yeah, well,
right?
Netrunner is in its own renaissance, and I noticed it. But yeah, it's Null Signal Games has brought back Netrunner and re-implementing their own version of it with their own cards. And for the last few years, they've been slowly still using the old pool of Final Fantasy games, FFG cards. But this summer will mark the end of any connection to FFG, and it will be their own thing.
Final Flight.
Oh, Fantasy Flight.
What did I say?
You said Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy games, which is different.
I mean, because the thing is, in this world,
very good.
Also, if you told me that Netrunner was
that is on my mind because
the
new Final Fantasy 7 is out.
Rebirth.
So by this summer, the entire competitive scene will just be the new cards, which are all reasonably priced and easy to get. You don't have to chase them all down. You'll have the whole pool. And that is very appealing to me. And it can be played on jinteki.net in your browser, and you can play it with your friends. And that's actually an interesting thing we could talk about. Maybe not this exact moment, but this came up on our Discord this week was what does having an online implementation of a game do to the game in real life? And how does it affect your group's ability to enjoy it? Once one person in the group has played it 1,000 times on BGA or wherever, do they still want to play it with the rest of the group? Does it change the entire meta of it? Does it change the way they interact with it? Does it make them not want to bother setting it up? Because let's just pull out our phones and we'll play it on that. Does it often expose weaknesses in the game you kind of wish you didn't know that aren't necessarily there when you're playing it at the table?
I can't say this with any authority because I haven't played any online games to the massive extent.
Yeah.
You've gone deep with the curriculum. Our friend Stacy, how many times she's played 1,000 games of Castles of Burgundy on PGA, right?
Has she?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
She just has them going all day long at work.
That's awesome.
Just on the side,
Yeah.
But so I don't know what it's like to do that serious binge. So I don't know how it would affect me. I can imagine. Well, actually, no. I guess the closest is with 18xx for me.
Yeah. And it has not affected your love of 18xx IRL?
No, but also the difference is that that's a system. So there's not usually not one type of 18xx that
for me. I've been in Terra Mystica for a while.
Yeah.
And no one wants to play it ever with me.
I mean, well, we have Age of Innovation now.
I know.
Which is the same thing. But I'll play it with you all day long.
It's one of those things where I think in our group, sometimes if there's a huge power discrepancy, like how often do we get Agricola onto the table? Really, I know you play often, but
I feel like it comes.
No, it's private nights usually. It's separate nights where we just invite the Agricola people.
Yeah. Private nights are watching you.
Yeah. Anyway,
it never comes out just at a random game night.
And
I
so
mean, once every.
So to answer the Discord question, I think if people are just too good at something, I think there isn't a tendency for us at least to try to catch up to them unless we are really whatever like Matt is in the Agricola. I think what we wind up doing is playing something else.
I don't know. I mean, I just, if someone's really, really good at a game, that has never dissuaded me from just still wanting to play it.
Not at all. In fact,
Because I
I'm
think
more
it's like-
excited to play, and I'm down. I genuinely, and I know a lot of people say this, like, I don't care about winning or losing. I feel like I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I have almost 0% of me that gives a crap if I win or
Right. I
lose.
play to win, but
Of course, you have to, or else there's no
But
game.
like, I don't.
So interesting.
Like, there are some every now and then there is a game where like you lose it in like a. You're like, oh, I almost had that. And it sticks you. Like,
Oh,
if
of course.
done
I
that-
get frustrated with
Right.
myself. I'm never mad
Right.
that I'm not as good.
Yeah.
Or
I feel like that's-
I can be mad at myself being like, come on, how many times have you played this and you're still making those mistakes? Like, that's frustrating because it's like, I wish I was not as dumb.
Yeah, I think that like it literally never, ever, ever crosses my mind like, oh, that player is so good at this game, like I shouldn't be playing with them. I think that, but I do think that there's value in saying like, oh, this game is out of my depth and I'm slowing down the whole table.
100%.
Like if
Absolutely.
I think if it's like I don't understand this game yet, like I think there's value in saying, okay, I need to take like a step back and play some online implementations to digest these rules, understand how this game works, watch some videos, read the rules more, grok it a little bit more. But once you have grokked it, and once you do understand it, like I would never.
Your ego isn't caught up in whether you're good or bad at it because you know that if you dedicated the time, you could be. It's just, you just haven't.
Look, I would say that yes, all this is true, but at the same time, and you two are particularly into this, like this is your spare time,
Yeah.
and so like if someone is dominating, like it can affect your fun. Like I'm just saying, like it can. Like I don't really care.
Right.
Like, but I'll take. For my case, like I played a lot of Age of Innovation. I'm when it was out, I'm the one who tried to be on it. Like I don't get it to the table very often, and people say they love it, and because it is a great game. But like Mike has definitely. I'm not going to ever play with you again. Like and Mike has been. He's been playing with me a lot.
Well,
So-
that's weird though, because he enjoys the game, and why wouldn't you want to play with somebody who's better so you can learn from them? If you're really invested in winning that game, well, this is how you win it.
But because like in a
getting
way,
better.
like like you're playing, you're not. Mike doesn't love Age of Innovation like I do.
That's the thing.
But like he's
well,
not.
he's
not invested in learning it to the extent that I have.
Yeah, but then that's a player problem.
I think
that's people who aren't
yeah.
invested in the experience.
What I'm saying is though, like there's a difference between like if you go like, oh, I'm doing really bad at this, I'm frustrated. If I spend the time to get, I can get good at this. Like I don't think anyone in our group goes like, oh, if I wanted to, I could. Literally everyone, if I really wanted to, I could get to passable at Le Havre. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, like
Of course.
But if you're here to play a game to have fun, and the game that you're going to play, you're going to get molested, at because the guy is so much better. Like, does that affect people's fun? I think it can. I think
so. It can for sure. Because but for me, the only time I ever have my fun affected by someone who's just fully dominating at a game is if the game itself I don't really enjoy.
Yeah, if it's not fun.
It's like when when we played.
Agricola is fun to lose at. I'm sorry.
For you.
Remember when we played? Remember we played Everfall or whatever that game was,
Yeah.
the witching game.
Yeah.
So the three of us played with Jordan, and Jordan found like a magic combo, and
Yeah.
he was killing. He had this crazy thing. It was just like he broke the game. Which honestly, I don't care if he breaks the game. That's kind of fun and
But
funny.
the game wasn't fun enough
like-
to make
but-
you want to get better.
Yeah, but it was
That's
like,
it.
but so I was like, okay, so I know I'm not winning, which is fine. And usually I feel like one thing I do is I sort of create like a new goal to get to the end of the game. But I'm like, Jordan is so clearly dominating, and the things that I'm doing with this game are not really that fun. So now I'm just kind of bored because
100%.
it's like I'm now the idea of like actually getting some sort of victory is out of my
And
hands.
that's a problem with the game.
So
Yeah.
So I always say
A good
like,
game is fun no matter your position in. I
yeah,
think.
I always feel like it's like a good movie or versus a bad movie. Like if I'm bored in a movie, I am more apt to tear it apart and talk about why this was wrong and this was wrong because I'm bored and I've got nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if a movie is great and it has all sorts of plot
You'll
holes
forgive
and
a lot.
issues, I forgive everything because I had a great time. So I don't have to sit there and nitpick because who cares? I had a great time.
That's right.
Yeah, I think you guys are correct. And
But I think even when I'm destroying you at Age of Innovation, when I'm just corpse humping your face in that game, which happens a lot.
Which happens a lot.
Like, you know,
happened the same night as
not in
Evenfall.
real life, but like it happens.
You're still like, well done, Matt. That was good. That was good. So you're having fun. You're just like you showed me something that maybe I hadn't seen before, or that you're liking it.
But as I understand the Discord question, it's like what happens when someone is has all these reps and it's a lot better.
Well, and yeah, and I think it's good they have an online outlet for that. And that maybe that online outfit could overtake their enjoyment of playing it with others. Like I definitely have gotten to the point with Agricola where I would do a teaching game, but I don't want to. Like it's not fun for me necessarily, but the fun would be maybe I can get this person to love this game enough to make it fun.
I think, in those situations,
that's what all I care about is like, can my passion spread to them? Can I sell this game to them in a way where they are willing to put in the time to then be fun to play with?
That's how I feel with 18xx.
Yeah.
Where I actually don't mind teaching 18xx, and I'm gonna do a teaching session later today to some people who know zero about it. So, but who I feel like have the potential to become 18xx players. Like they're curious. So if there's someone who I know I can recruit to the fold, then like I'm down to teach certain
apostatize.
Right. But what I don't like is when someone like just is like using me to help them, if that makes sense. Like I was like, I know you're probably not gonna be interested in this game. I'll teach you.
You don't want to be a sparring partner for somebody. Yeah.
Or it's more like sometimes at a certain point I want to be like, you learn about it and come back to me.
Yeah,
because you get exhausted.
Well, that's why you just go where the passion is. Like you find other people that are like, I know Trey has an unquenchable thirst for Agricola. So if I want to play it in line, I'll call him. And I've got a handful of other people who enjoy it enough and are competent enough where it's fun for all of us. And then that's it. But otherwise, I'm looking online for my competition, not because I'm good, but because those people that are there are as excited to be there as I am.
What's so interesting to me, Matt, is like when you talk about Root, when you talk about Agricola, and when you talk about Netrunner, what's so interesting is that like the recurring theme in all three is that you've mentioned competitive play, competitive communities, playing something in competition. Yep. So you're really drawn. It seems like there's something about this idea that games that can be played in competition, like in a formal way, it seems to really appeal to you.
It does. I really like a high ceiling of self-improvement. I like a really long journey to become very good at something, even if I never will, even if I don't have the time investment to get very good at it. I would say I am a better than average Agricola player after a few years of intense study of the game. And like, I love that it would take me probably 10 more years to actually feel confident enough to say like, I'm very good, and like, that's fun. Like, but do I lose mostly? 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So it's like, and do I wake up like, boy, I need to win? No, it's like, I just know the more reps I do, the better I get. And I can sense that happening and I get enjoyment out of that.
I guess I feel that way a little bit about Concordia, actually.
You are really good at Concordia.
Well, thank you. I think I'm good at it. I don't think I'm really good because I've been beaten many, many times. I'm like Matt. Like I've been beaten, but like my group of friends outside of Game Brain, we've played a lot of Concordia. I mean, Concordia is my number one game of all time.
Sure.
And it has that thing. I never really say let's play it because I played it so much. But actually, there are maps I have never played.
Yeah, me too. I own all the maps. I want
to play the fish market. All that. I have all the maps. Oh, I forgot to get the new map. Oh no, I pre-ordered it.
Oh, is there a new one? Ooh.
There's like a Sicily.
Yeah.
I think I pre-ordered it somewhere, so it's just gonna pop up someday. Sometimes I like to when I pre-order, I then push it out of my mind, so it's like a delight when it shows up.
Kickstarter.
Yeah. But I remember I think playing Concordia with you guys once, I think during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, well, it's so scripted. You guys got to play. And I think I played Senator as my first card and everyone was shocked.
It was one of those things where I was like, oh, I thought I was never good at Concordia, but I go like, oh, I understand what the game is. I was like, oh, Ben is just like, he's just like 2 steps ahead of my thinking.
Right.
And I was playing, I was like, oh.
It was cool. For me, what was cool about that was to show you guys like You don't have to stick with your meta. And B, that I was like, oh, in this moment, I've played Concordia so much, and I wasn't even trying to do a deep dive. I've just played it so much that I know you can do things like this, and it can work out. Like, and there are really fun strategy articles about Concordia online where people talk about like how you can use each card as an opener, and it would work. Like you could theoretically open with a Tribune and get a new colonist or whatever. Sure. And so I do understand on some way that level of like when you know a game more deeply, you see more possibilities. And then when you see more possibilities, there are more levers to pull, you know, and because it is sort of sad when you play a game only 2 or 3 times and you just see a kind of a one-dimensional view of it. Like, well, there's only this dominant strategy.
Let me ask you, how many times have we played Concordia since that moment?
Maybe like 2 times. I don't know. I don't remember.
These new maps sound great. I'm going to order them.
I believe it's 0.
Yeah. By the way, I've also never played Concordia Venus, which I know is maybe not supposed to be the best version, but I would love to play it as a Concordia.
Team one, right?
Yeah, as a Concordian.
We tried it once and we felt like we're good, but I would absolutely try it again.
I think I should do that. I feel like I should, get more Concordia experiences in, because it is honestly, to me, it's perfect game. Like the perfect, no flaws.
So interesting.
10 out of 10. There's nothing wrong with it.
Like so interesting. Like it doesn't capture my imagination.
It's so weird to me when I've met people who've said that, and that's just so strange to me because I just feel like it is it has everything. It is an elegant rule set. It has tense, difficult decisions, really difficult decisions. There's timing. There's push your luck. There's above the board play. There's I think
everything. The only thing it's missing is like you can't lose first round.
Sure you could. You did when Ben beat you. You just didn't know it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, by the way, sir.
That's right.
You did.
I just ordered those new maps. I'll have them tomorrow.
It's like
Cecilia? Where'd you get? Oh,
Amazon, baby.
Oh, man. Maybe I should cancel my pre-order.
I'm going to have it tomorrow. What do you want? What's up? Let's play a Tuesday.
I mean, that and Food Chain would be the perfect
That's all we're
day.
doing.
It's the perfect day. Can I talk about another game, by the way?
Please.
Sure, please.
I know there's a really good conversation, but we'll probably come back to it anyway.
Was it, though?
Whoa.
Just destroying my conversation that I started. I hate that conversation.
That's the whole vibe of this show these days is that, we talk about the games to
slowly destroy each other. It's basically like
they are vessels to get into deeper conversations about gaming, and then when we start to really get towards something, I stop it and say, "Let's talk about Cuzco."
Like this is one of those things where like it's basically Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Yes,
this is what our podcast has become.
I know. I was unfollowed by a Real Housewife of Salt Lake City.
That is both a badge and a shame.
Because she was offended by someone that we nominated in our fake award show that you helped with, Paul.
That's the worst thing. When you get unfollowed because of a fake award show.
Yeah. So that's why people should follow Game Brain on Instagram, so that way we can have a big enough clout to make her feel bad.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's go after a reality star.
Let's do it. So Cuzco is another game in the Stefan Feld City Collection. It's a re-implementation of Bora Bora. I'm a Feld head. I guess I am. I mean, listen, I already had actually a good number of Feld games beforehand. And I always feel like Feld games are just like, let's see. Let's come up with a real sweaty metaphor here.
That's that. Make sure we add beaver in it somehow.
The beavers, are Feld games like Ritz crackers?
Wow.
Are they like Ritz crackers in that they are
buttery and salty?
They're lovely. They're great in a spread. We're happy to eat them, but you're maybe not always gonna be
you're gonna move past it.
I think a Feld game is more like a salad.
Oh wow,
a point salad.
But actually, kind of Except are the Feld games really good for you? I don't know. I mean,
no, it's like a chef salad. You think it's good for you, but then there's all that
Caesar salad.
Damn.
It's like, I feel like Feld games ultimately they're always like fun, interesting puzzles. They're not very sexy. By and large.
The art is garbage.
Art is usually garbage. And, these days I'm like in my economic era. So I love, an economic game. I love a dynamic, ecosystem in a game. I love all that, blah, 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 blah. So Feld games have not been always they've just have not been top of mind. And yet here I am now owning 4 games in the Stefan Feld overpriced collection.
A Stefan Feld verse.
With Marrakesh being my number one. Marrakesh being the game I mean, despite all the games I talked about, favorites of this, favorites of that, Marrakesh is the one that I just want to play over. Like, that's the game I want to deep dive. I want to play that game over and over and over.
When are we getting that expansion, though?
You know what? We had the chance to play the expansion. We had the expansion out on the table.
Big footprint.
We were at Candace's, and Tim, one of Candace's friends, one of our friends, he came over. He had the expansion, and we laid it out. The big old camel race and everything. Yeah. And we were going to do Marrakesh with the expansion, but it was Candace's first game and it was late. And we decided, you know what, let's just do base Marrakesh.
Well, we both pre-ordered it, right? I don't know when it's going to ship.
I don't know. I think Tim backed it on Kickstarter, which is why he actually got it way earlier than us.
Okay.
But anyway, I've talked about Marrakesh enough on this podcast, but I got
it's your fresh fish.
It's my fresh fish. My fresh Marrakesh.
Fresh Tribune.
Yeah, but I got Cuzco, which is, have you guys ever played Bora Bora, the original OG?
Yes.
One of Elder's favorite, I believe.
Yeah. What do you think about Bora Bora?
It was early in my board gaming career, and it was at a convention, and I remember thinking it was fun. But that, it wasn't my favorite Feld at the time, but I enjoyed it. It was around the same time that Hawaii came out, and I remember Hawaii eclipsed it in terms of
Hawaii's Tom Vassell controversially threw it in the garbage or something like
ridiculous.
that.
Hawaii is an incredible game. We loved that game.
Yeah,
I don't know why
we played a lot.
We played a lot.
I heard Hawaii was
Hawaii.
great.
Oh, you never played?
No.
Oh, you would love that game.
I'm sure I would.
Yeah,
I love Hawaii.
Before we met Ben, we're going like, this is a total Ben game, and we're like, what does that mean? I don't know.
Ben? Yeah.
I don't know.
But so I had never played Bora Bora, but the same person on Discord who got me into Marrakesh was like, by the way, since you're loving Marrakesh so much, you really should look into Cuzco, because my group, we played it and we found a lot of similar like player interaction stuff. So based off of their recommendation, I was like, I found a copy of it online. I was like, well, there it is. I think this is Kismet. So I bought it. So we played it. So Paul, Elder, Chris Bussey, and we played it recently. Paul, what did you think about Cuzco?
I mean, I think it's great. It's like, as far as this Feldiverse that we're diving into, I have found that like I'm enjoying it more because I'm finding the above table interaction very fun. Like, it's still, as Matt will say, or as people say, point salady. Yeah. But for whatever reason, like the above board interaction is really appealing. Maybe because it's point salady, and in that way we're able to like play each other versus play the board in a way. Like, oh, what's this person wanting to do? Like I just remember like in our last game, for example, I was so far behind, and I go, what I'm going to do? I'm going to max out the turn order track. And like the moment I started doing it, everyone's like, oh my God, what's he doing? Like it was just so like shock and awe, like, and maybe it doesn't hold up after 100 games. I don't know. But like right now, like with Marrakesh, for example, I'm really loving how I'm able to go like, oh, here's the randomness of this is coming up, but I'm playing what Ben is wanting to play, and all like that consideration really keeps my mind. And like Cuzco has a bit of that as well. Like, oh, here are the whatever, the farming or the education. What do they need? What do I need? Like, can I wait right now? Like, but what really makes Cuzco great for me is like it's just an action selection. Like just that dumb mechanic of like, here higher numbers equals more moves, but you can't go there unless.
Yeah. So here's what the game is all about. Thematically, I mean the theme of this is it's Cuzco, Incan Empire, and we've got I forget what they're called, but basically runners.
I almost died in Cuzco once. Told that story before.
No, tell the audience.
I had food poisoning. I was in the hospil for 48 hours in Cuzco. That's all.
Yeah,
that's the story.
Scary.
It was not fun.
Great story. I was at the edge of my seat.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I died.
You should do this for a
living. You didn't let me finish. I died.
He died and came back,
and he didn't come back.
No.
Oh, we're all dead. What? Oh crap! This is lost.
No, Matt died years ago.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of dead air on this podcast.
That explains why he loves Root now.
Just came back. He only likes games
by the way, that like burn literally made no sense.
Made no sense. Well, no, I only like games that were out when I was alive.
So, okay. So, I believe, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but there is Chasqui.
Sure.
Chasqui
Wait, let me look it up. No, it's Indonesian for
Yeah.
So and
Still don't remember it. You just mumbled through it. So
Cuzco. So I guess the
Siap
Chasqui
Faji,
were basically
Paul.
messengers, and they would run from town to town delivering messages. And so in this game, Cuzco, which is a reimplementation of Bora Bora, we are Chasqui, and we are running around this map.
You're like the Uber Eats of Cuzco.
Yeah, love it. One more TaskRabbit.
DoorDash.
TaskRabbit.
So we are delivering stuff all around, but we're also building out an elaborate like mask which has feathers in it. And we're also gathering study tiles, and we're also gathering farm tiles. It's felt. It's like literally this is all like a nominal theme that's been put on this puzzle. The big shtick with the game is there about, depending on player count, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 action spaces to take. And everyone rolls 3 dice, and you use the dice to take your actions. And as Paul sort of just said before, if you with almost every single action spot except for the one that's like the oh, there's nothing left for you to do, everyone can go here spot, you put a die down, and the die that you put down cannot be equal to or greater than any dice that are already there, which means that if you take an action and you put a 1 down,
You've locked it out
for every other single person. And if you're like player 1, you can just lock out an action. You can say, I'm doing this action, and no one else is doing it.
You shall not pass.
That you shall not pass. But at the higher value dice make that action more powerful. So you are torn between, I want to use a high powered die to get the best bang for my buck, but then I don't want to let everyone else. Yeah, but now I want to let everyone else get to take this action.
And so like that tension is really fun. It's
really fun. And the thing is this, that sometimes you can't help.
Yeah.
Like you see someone roll and they've got like 1, 2, and 3, and you're like, oh fuck, because you know
they're gonna hurt you.
So now you know with your dice, and then you look down at your die and you've got like a 6 and a 5 and another 6, and you're like, so you know you have to, on your very first turn, whatever action you take, like that's gonna be that is gonna be the action for your round. Like not like your only action, but like the one that you know, the guarantee.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to see where people put their dice, and like
the fun thing is like you watch people's rolls, and like when you go, oh please don't get 1s, don't get 6s, like you're so invested in everyone's like outcome in a way that is like ridiculous because it's so punitive to like I need to do this, and if I can't do this, I'm dead.
Right. And you have to, but it also kind of forces you to pivot in ways that's like, to be frustrating, but in like fun frustration.
I think that's actually what makes it so great for me, because I love a tactical game, and it's so your plans are, I want to do all these things, but like you have to deal with what you have, the dice that you roll and the dice that everyone else rolls, and so many times in the game where people are going like, I'm going to go this here. Goes, do you really need to go there now?
Yes.
Please, do you need to go there now? And it's like, now I am.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, I need this action I need to do first, but I need to save my high die so that way I can move my Chasqui across this bridge. Mm-hmm. So I need that Chasqui for the bridge action. But it's really important that I get that bridge action, but it's also really important I do this other action. So if I do the bridge action first with my high die, then I know I run the risk of that other important action being closed down. Oh, sorry, everyone. I didn't put this on vibrate.
It's okay.
It's so awkward.
Ooh.
It's a Chasqui calling. I'm lost. But you just debating between how you want to like use those actions, and you try to like thread the needle, and then someone inevitably puts something down there and your entire plan is destroyed. But then there's sometimes where you do thread the needle and you're like, I did it. I got this all down. I made it all work.
It's all me. I'm amazing.
And there are these cards you can get, and the cards will give you powers that, give you workarounds for these difficult situations.
But they're not so powerful that they make it easy. Like you go like, oh, thank God I have this one card that can help me this one time.
Yeah.
So it's still remarkably tight for what it is. So
but what was cool for me was that, so we played like an aborted game. You had mentioned it earlier, where the two of us and David Gilson and Elder, we were at your place, Matt, and we had sat down to play Bora Bora, and we did 2 rounds, and Elder had to leave. So after those 2 rounds, I was like, this was fun. I mean, I don't know if I like. I don't
Love
know if
this.
I love it. It's like it's fun. I mean, part of it, like David was having an issue in the first round. He got it, but like he was having a grokking issue the first round, so maybe there wasn't like that.
Sure.
You know,
The
like it was
energy.
like a herky-jerky in the play, but I was like, okay, yeah, that's sort of feeling like maybe I wasted some money.
But then we got franchise.
But yeah, we played franchise. But then the second time we played the full game. What I noticed was I actually felt in the beginning a little bit the same way, but there is like a ramping up of tension, and like round after round, it just gets more and more intense. This
I like
person
a game
from
like
Philadelphia is still trying to call me. Who do I know from Philadelphia?
Sue.
Maybe it's Sue. I don't know. Well, they'll just have to wait. And by the way, you're supposed to be on disturb. Don't disturb. Anyway, I really liked it.
No, it was great. Like it was one of those things where I go like, oh, I don't know if I'm a Feld head, but like I go like, I don't know. And I've never played Bora Bora, but I was wondering if like these implementations have changed some aspect of it where I go like, oh, this Marrakesh is really above the board. You know, Cuzco, which I always read as cuckoo for whatever reason. I'm enjoying it more than I would think I would enjoy a Feld. And like actually, Matt, we played Burgundy, right? Like recently.
Oh, I love Burgundy. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
like
new
we're-
version is so beautiful.
Yeah,
and fun.
and we're playing with our wives, and I was like, "Oh, this is really fun." In a way that I was like, "Oh, I don't remember this," and B was like, "Going, oh, well, you know, do you have that game, Paul? I don't. Oh, well, maybe we should get it." You know, it's just I'm just having a Feld renaissance, a Feld.
I felt the songs.
Yeah.
Did you back the two newest ones that have 4 days left on the Kickstarter?
I did not.
Well, what are you thinking? This is your
You're
favorite
Feld
Because
now.
they're so expensive, and it's just like one after the other.
But this is the first one that's new, Kathmandu. Like just like
I don't, I'll do
just
some
like
research
Marrakesh.
later today.
4 days left. You're the Feld head. I
know.
rely on you.
By the way, I realized what this number was. It's a food box that someone's trying. They can't get through the front gate.
Did you order food?
It's a sponsor thing from the other podcast. So like they're sending a box.
You are like really successful with this podcasting thing.
I'm debating. Do I interrupt the podcast right now to say I probably should?
Just
So
pause
hold
for
on
a
one
second.
second. We're gonna pause. We're gonna pause for a second. So we're back. Sorry, my delivery box has arrived and the drama's over.
Yeah.
So anyway, Paul, sorry, I was interrupted by a delivery there.
Well, I
But
think Matt
were-
was saying that like you're the Feld access point, and why aren't you spending
Yeah.
more?
So
Yeah.
please find out if Kathmandu is worth backing for me.
I will. So I know that is Catman. I know that there's also Nassau.
Yeah, which is based
is-
on Rum and Pirates.
But apparently, the deal with that is that only one mechanism
is from that.
is from it,
I just
and
find
it's
I'm less
basically a new game.
interested in. Okay, well, I'm very interested in his new games, especially after Marrakesh. I'm much less interested in rethemes.
Yeah, I was not interested. I had never played Bora Bora. I wasn't really inherently interested in Cuzco until I got that rave, and I'm really happy. Like I had a really fun time. And by the way, another thing about it, just one last thing, is that when you unpack Cuzco, it is such a lavish production. It is a huge footprint, these big player boards with these feathers, and there's all these components, and there's like phases and this and that, and I was like, oh geez, there's so much going on in this game. But then actually it's incredibly simple.
Yeah, no,
It's just like, okay, this action you get the orange tiles, this action you get the blue tiles, this action you can move on these paths, this action you can move on those paths, this action you can trade goods. That is it.
Like there are no
That
edge
is it.
cases. So there's no edge cases to
No
consider.
edge cases, and then there's just like a process at the end. It is like
That's how
remarkably
Marrakesh
simple.
felt to me. I was like reading the rulebook. I'm like, how is this fun? There's nothing going on here. And then you
Same.
play it, and you're like, this is great.
I actually literally had the reason why I didn't back Marrakesh is when they talked about, oh, as a draft, you decide what action you're going to take and you put it in the tower and then you draft. I was like, I don't see how that's fun.
No, it felt too simple to be interesting.
And it's like literally the best Feld game of all time. It is like, the other hesitation I have about Feld is that the three of us are talking about it right now, getting excited. Elder gets excited, but I don't think that the larger Game Brain group is really that into Felds. Like, I think they like Feld, they'll visit Feld, but I don't think it's something that our group is
no fresh fish,
super psyched about.
Damn, Matt. Like it's like I feel cold because I'm so much shade here.
It's not solved like Avalon. Give it some time.
Yeah.
But I think it's
The salty gamer. That's what Matt is.
I think players. I think our group is looking for like stuff that's not so like super Euro-y like that. Like not like puzzle. There's always like talk about multiplayer solitaire. There's, maybe it's too mid-weight for some people. I don't know.
I mean, I think a point salad is not what our game group tends to like. I'm enjoying the Feld, journey right now because I'm not looking at it as a point salad. I'm looking at it as game player interaction. And like in Cuzco, the board I was like 7 actions, 3 dice. Why is there so much tension?
Right. Like by the end of that game, I was literally like my chest was caving in on. I was so tense. It's just and like there's engine building, but it's not like real engine building. It's just like you're doing the same thing every round. But for some reason, round after round, I just felt like by the time it was done, I was like,
gotta say, you're not selling it. But the fact that Marrakesh had the same vibes until I played it, I'm down to try it.
Like,
yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I will. Okay, I think that you will enjoy Cuzco. I think you will feel the same way that we felt.
It's not that different from Bora Bora, right?
No, I think that there have been apparently a few quality of life changes that have been very well received by the community.
Right. Sure, they'll balance.
I feel like you will enjoy it. You will agree with everything we say, but I don't think it's going to be your new obsession.
Yeah, sure.
I think for all of it, like I've always like if I look at the games that I enjoy, they always comes down to how quickly does it get to what it's trying to do, and like I feel like this does it pretty quick. Like by third round, you're going like, oh, I'm biting my nails, hoping that you don't take this action.
Yeah.
Please don't put that. Oh, god damn it.
Yeah. Do you feel that way about Dinosaur Gauge?
Dinosaur Gauge was hilarious and fun. And no, I did not feel that same with Dinosaur Gauge.
Do you know about Dinosaur Gauge,
Jordan
Matt?
told me a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so
Hollenspiel.
I don't know why I said it with an accent because I don't think
they
they're
also
actually from
have
Holland.
Dual Gauge, which I thought it was maybe related to. Jordan said not necessarily.
Yeah, I've never played any of those. I've never played Dual Gauge,
but it's
or
a little
anything.
bit of a Q Rails adjacent.
Yeah, it's like Paul. Can you describe it and describe how dinosaurs are integrated into it?
First, ignore the dinosaur bits just for a second. Although it is actually very important in the sense that like it contributes to its fun.
It does.
But basically, you are creating routes. You have either a railway, an airline, a
shipping route,
like over like boats, or a factory, and then you're just. It's just like any other train game where you're just laying stuff, creating products, shipping product. That's it. Like, and what makes it really fun is that, like, for whatever reason, just adding like a bunch of dinosaurs in it, just makes it hilarious. And so, like, it's really easy to access in that way. And you're like, oh, well, I'm going to stomp here. I'm going to try to move up some track. Like, it doesn't matter what the game is. I'm just being serious because, like, if you've played any kind of like Dual Gauge or what, you get this.
Yeah,
it's. But for whatever reason, just saying dinosaurs.
Right, because like, and by the way, the dinosaurs are integrated as in like the dinosaurs run all these companies.
Yeah.
These are dinosaurs. These are like dinosaur entrepreneurs.
And I guess it was you, me, Candace, Tim, and we're going like, this is really fun, right?
It was really fun, even though we had messed up a setup thing that really put me in a situation where I didn't have a lot of meaningful choices, but then at the same time that my gameplay probably also contributed to that too, because I had to figure out what was going on. What I liked, I love a game where there is a company that's in charge of the shipping and a company in charge of like trains, and then you can also have factories, and then you can invest in the factories, and you want the factories to produce, and you create like a little economic infrastructure.
It's like a Dino 18XX for you.
A bit, but it was more than that. It wasn't just an 18XX. It's that like you had an economy where you have different interests that are capitalizing off of this economy. Like you want to build, like the trains want to pick up stuff from factories, and the factories want their stuff to be picked up, and you want to use the shipping routes, and what you invest in also dictates what you're interested in succeeding in.
Exactly.
And it was despite the fact that I definitely had a rough go of it, it was really fun.
Yeah, no, it's the essence of the game is like, here's this like economic ecosystem that has shipping, airplanes, trains, and factories, and you get to invest in various bits in this, and whoever has the most money at the end, whoever like as these as these industries do well, like you'll get more points, and whoever has the most valuable portfolio at the end wins. That's all it is.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it's fairly operational. Like everything that you're buying, and then you're doing operations, and that's really it. It's like here are your actions. You have like a flow of 5 things, and you just do them, and you pass, and then you just
do it again. And there's definitely stuff you have to grok, and like as you play, you start to see like, oh, and it's one of those games where you say we should play this again, so that way the second time we can like be more like, I was like, oh, I should have been flogging this thing, or oh man, I could have been taking advantage of the shipping lane much more than I realized, and so like it was.
I think another thing that about games that I've been enjoying lately is like it's more fun than it deserves to be.
Yeah,
I think that's another thing that I really appreciate. It's like, here are these pieces. I think that I understand what this game is. I play the game and I go like, oh no, there's more here. Like it's like the interactions of the mechanics has this synergistic effect that creates something that I couldn't predict. Like I go like, oh, this is going to be this level of fun, but actually it's like 2 steps higher, and
greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, like us, like you two, and then I bring you down.
Somehow I feel like we're stronger alone. The 3 of us.
You know what I'm excited about, by the way? Just sort of speaking about this and in this space. Have you guys heard of the game Legacies? Not Legacy, not Legacy
style games.
No. There's a game called Legacy, and it's like about Duke to something or another, and like you have like you're marrying people off. But there's a game called Legacies.
I was very close to backing it.
So
even the designer even reached out and asked if we were interested in a review copy a while ago, and I said no.
Wow,
because I don't like to get review copies. But I asked him if I could purchase one from him, and he said yes, and then I forgot.
Well, don't you worry, sir, because guess what? I got my hands on a copy from a virtual flea market.
Yeah.
And I picked it up yesterday, and last night I came back and I was reading through the rules, and I was like, oh my God, this is like a game made for me. Like it is so, I love what it's trying to do and everything. And I'll describe what it is in a second, or maybe even you could, because you
I read the rules. I did some research on it. Yeah.
But what I was drawn to, I heard about it. Someone was discussing it, I think on the Blue Peg Pink Peg podcast, saying that it's trying to do so much and that somehow it actually works. And that intrigued me, and it seems like it's a blend of an economic game, but also
it's a Civ game. I think
like
mainly
a Civ game, and also like a not a role playing game, but like a game where you kind of like a John Company kind of game in terms of that you take on a persona.
Oh, you got Jordan on right now.
Well, I don't know. No, now I'm nervous because Jordan will be like, "Well, I'd rather play John Company."
No, I would love to try it. It was definitely one of those like. I after reading the rules and stuff, I was like, I think it's very long and very opaque for potentially our group in a like, and it seemed like a big ask. Like this is a game that's going to need a lot of commitment in order to really make it shine. That there's a lot of depth, a lot of complexity, and it's very long. Right. So on that, I was like, we have so many long, complex games that require depth, and I was a little worried the juice was not worth the squeeze on this one. But I would love to be proven wrong.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the rules, that's what I was like, this is gonna be a beast. And then I looked at the rules, and I was like, it might not be. It may be a long game. There may be tough decisions.
It's a 4.13 on BGG, which is very high.
Yeah, But I think that like when I was looking at the actual actions you take, I was like, it's not that crazy. So basically the gist of the game is that it's a game that takes place over 300 years. And it is the legacy is that you are basically a rich person, or you're basically trying to create generational wealth. And so you start off with a character. And that character is connected to 2 different industries. So in the rule book, I haven't even looked at the characters, but in the rule book, one that's in the one that they have in all the examples, a socialite whose special power is gossip. So I'm like, I am in. I am so in. And she's connected to she's connected to like the communications industry, but like also, I forget what the other one is, entertainment, but people could be connected to the transportation industry, or they're connected to government or whatever. But you have people who are connected to these industries, and you are trying to amass wealth by investing in those industries, but maybe investing in other people's industries. and those industries can improve, but they can also decline. And so there's like a little bit of an 18xx quality of like you can get dividends. There's a way to get dividends in the game from people's industries. But you can also foster relationships with other characters, both other players and also NPCs, and that will improve the income that you can get, or the money, or the gold, or whatever you're trying to contribute to your foundation. And then basically every round you have to get a successor, and so your character is always kind of getting replaced. Your character has like the same vibes, still connected to the same industries, but your new successor will have certain perks or certain powers. So you have successors that you're bringing in, and it's like a weird hybrid of economics and relationships and heirlooms. You can get heirlooms. So you can get like a boa.
Sure. There you go. It's like Village, but like at the upper scale thing.
It's like an economic village.
That's right.
I would love if you can learn that and teach it to me.
But yeah, I feel like I have learned it. I read it last night, right. And so I was reading it and I was like, this game, oh God, I hope this game is good, because it was exciting me. You know, when you read through a rule book and you just get excited and you're like, oh my God, this is everything. I love the way these systems are integrated in terms of like the industries that you are connected to, the relationships you have, how that gets you income.
So interesting. Like, you know, like you two are like the two who like love reading rule books, and I'm going like, how do you do it? How do you do it? It's
it's like my second favorite thing to do in board games.
I like to read in fact, I like if I try to learn a game off of a video, I struggle a little bit.
Really?
I often will fall asleep, because honestly, there are a lot of sometimes they go on for 25 minutes and it's very monotone. It's like, then you do this and then you do this.
If there's a video, I watch the video first at like 2x speed. And at some point when I get the general concept and flow, I stop and then I just go read the rule book.
So my flow is this. I actually really like watching Tom Vassell for like the 6-minute overview, because he's actually, I think his greatest skill is that he can
boil it down.
He can boil it down in 6 minutes in a way that's engaging. Like the way he talks is very conversational, and you get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Then I read the rule book, and then once I've read the rule book, I have a context, and then I will watch the how-to video. And for some reason, I'm able to be more engaged.
The components to the rules. Yeah.
I can understand it more, and then I'm like, make sure I'm filling in all my gaps.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just a times 2x. You know, I have like 4 laptops just watching 4 games at once at times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's
why you're not very good
at anything. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for saying it out loud.
Yeah. No. Well, the point is, I'm really excited for Legacies. I feel like this could be like.
I'm glad you see. This is what you do. You take games that other people went like, nah, and you go, hold on a minute.
Well, you know, but it's not like it came out of a vacuum. I think Candace had initially messaged me and said, I think you would like this game. I was like, maybe. And then I heard about it on Blue Peg, Pink Peg. And I thought, huh. And then by the way, I just bought a game. Do you know about this game? It's a trick-taking game, Matt, called Lunar. That's a re-implementation of a game called Ortrick. And it's by All Play.
Oh, yeah, I have it.
You have Lunar?
I have it, yeah.
Okay, my copy is coming in today.
Yeah. That was part of the 4-game pack that I backed, yeah.
Yeah, so I heard about it, and it sounds really interesting.
Cool.
Also on Blue Peg, Pink Peg. That basically it's a trick-taking game where you play a suit and your partner plays the number, or vice versa.
Right.
But you're trying
together, you're setting the suit and the number, yeah.
Yeah, but you're also trying to hit a certain number of hands that you win. Right. Like if you get 0, you get a bunch of points.
Yeah.
But if you get like 4, you get 0 points or something like that.
Yeah. No, there's a cool scoring thing. Yeah, there's a bunch of that bacon was cool. That Lunar was, I think, the one that they said was a little heavier. Yeah. I'm down to try that.
I really thought I was going to be introducing. I thought I was going to be introducing a trick taker to the group, and
well, with All Play it'd be hard because they are like the.
Are they the thing?
They are, one of the bigger publishers. Yeah, they're one of the big fish in a small pool. Yeah.
I mean, that's silly for me to think I'm going to be introducing a trick taker to this group. That's not my specialty.
Ben, come on, stay in your lane.
I would love to play it with you. I'm down to play clubs. Any trick taker that you're interested in.
Well, no, I still also want to promote Tournament at Avalon, which I think is like an absolutely that is a raucous fun romp. Have you played that?
No.
So we played Mino Dice the other night.
Mino Dice.
Mino Dice. which was so fun. And that's
hilarious.
Trick Taker.
Wait, how do you pronounce it? Sephaji? Dice?
Faji. Now I've forgotten it. God.
Yeah. How does this feel now? Shoot,
good.
other
Horrible.
foot.
Yeah.
But the reason why I bring that up, because that's like a
Siap
dice.
Faji.
Siap Faji.
God damn it.
It's like a the Mino dice is like a dice version of Skull King, apparently.
That's exactly what it
It
is.
literally says it reimplements Skull
that.
King.
It's just Skull King.
And it's
with
so
dice.
fun. And when we're playing it, Jordan asked us, he goes, so with all this like randomness, what do you think the game gains with all this randomness? And both of us go, fun.
Yeah,
like it gains
hilarious.
It gains fun. And I feel like
There's nothing more fun than winning a hand with a 7 value gray die that you were 100% sure you were going to
lose.
That hurts, guys.
I mean,
too
so
soon.
but also remember there was one role in that game where I literally shouted. I was like, yes! I shouted across your room because I got so excited. And I feel like when we had the episode about trick taking, it was such a good episode. We talked about so many games. I wasn't part of it, but like you guys talked about so many games. But like the one aspect that was maybe not accounted for as much was just those trick takers that are silly and chaotic. Yeah. And this
is my favorite silly trick taker.
Yeah, that one's great. But Tournament at Avalon is or Camelot, whichever one. Down. Totally in that same space where it's just pure chaos left and right, and you're just laughing the entire time.
Totally.
So that will be my trick taker contribution to the group. Okay. I don't know. There's more stuff to talk about, but is it the end?
We're hitting the 2-hour mark.
I feel like we're hitting. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Boon Lake, but we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, we played the expansion. It was really fun.
Boon Lake back on my shelf. It's
sweet. I would also like to never play the base. I'd like to try it with the expansion too.
Expansion was great, and Boon Lake, I was like, this is fun, but it's missing that X factor. But then after our 4-player game, I was like, hell yeah, Boon Lake is back. Yeah. It is now officially like secured a spot in my collection.
Yeah.
So
well, you're the Feld Fister guy. Who's
I'm a Feld Fister.
You're
man.
a Feld Fister.
PH or F? It's all
You're like, wait, hold on, Feld and Fister. Still good, guys. That's
Feld and
role.
Fister. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Sometimes I think that we need to pause
disrespect the Feld and the Fisters.
Let's not disrespect them. I mean, like Sky Mines. Yeah. That was also took me a moment, and now that one's like I love that one. That's a good deep dive. By the way, that would be a great deep dive with all those stock tracks.
Different tracks. I love it.
See, here's the problem. You're really good, Matt, about saying I'm going to do root. I'm going to do deep dive, and then I always come in. And I flood you with like, and then we can also deep dive this.
Yeah, you need to pick a thing and you need to set a date.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm picking a thing and setting a date.
You need to just say, you need to send me an email. Sunday, we are playing this. Are you available?
Legacy. I think it's going to be Legacies.
Are you passionate? Yeah, do it for Legacies.
Are you friends with P? Then you're friends with me.
Or do you want to just stay home and play Fresh Fish?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I may go to Tom's game night one of these times.
Hey, just so you know, I love Fresh Fish, everyone. Fresh Fish is still a great game.
It's fresh.
I've never played it. I've genuinely. That's why it's funny because it's everybody's played it a billion times. And somehow I've ducked it for like 15 years
before I ever knew you guys.
So much shade, and it is a great game. It is a great game.
No, I think the reason why I shade Fresh Fish is that it's always brought up on this podcast as if we've actually never talked about it before. Like, you know what's a great game? Fresh Fish. And so that's what always cracks me up is that like the excitement around it is like so it like bubbles out in a way that's hilarious. I can't
wait till you like really play it and you go, oh my god, this game's amazing. And
I'm sure I will.
I'm never gonna play it.
I've
made it 15 years. Why would I start now?
You will never play it, but Ben will be roped into it.
I mean, I have played it
once.
I played it once. A 2-player game many years ago.
A 2-player game?
Oh, I know, 3-player game.
You only play it with 5.
All right, we're talking about Fresh Fish now.
See, like we did it. We've been fresh fished. All right. Well, this has been a delight. So we have some homework to do. We're going to play some more Root. We are going to try out Legacies. I think that was I think that's the main.
So takeaways.
Main takeaways. Of course, never.
You're going to find out if I should back one of these Felds in the next 4 days.
I'm going to research the Felds.
I would love that.
More 18XX at all times. There's
an 18XX trick taker coming.
What?
Yep.
No, stop. What?
It takes 2 hours to play, and it's an
What?
18xx trick
How?
taker. I'm getting a copy imported for us. Don't worry. I'm on.
What?
Like Ben's face just
What?
went like
What?
white red.
There's
like,
a heavy 2 hour long 18xx trick
What?
taker. I've secured a copy for us. We will have it in the coming months.
I don't know what to do with myself.
I think a transistor popped.
Well, there is an 18xx rolling right called 18 Arabella. It has a kitten.
Anyway, this is an 18xx trick taker that
I am excited
my
about that.
disrespect for Roland Wrights knows no bounds.
Oh yeah, but by the way, we should also mention that three of us had a very fun time playing Shikoku 1889, which by the way,
yeah, no, that's great.
what a beautiful product! What a wonderful production. I was thinking about making that the tutorial game for today, but I decided Chesapeake, just because Shikoku has the ability that you can sell then buy, like sell buy or buy. I was like, let me
Chesapeake's
just
always the best intro.
Chesapeake, but wow, Shikoku 1889. She's a beaut.
She's a beaut. City Tricks is the name of this game.
Oh.
City Trixx, like a
Nice.
City Tricks.
Nice.
City
I'm like,
Tricks.
I feel like there's a joke to be made about
3
City
hours
Tricks.
long, 3.0. I'm in.
Listen,
I'm in,
if
baby.
anyone enjoys a good city trick, it's me. So let's get it.
All right, gents.
Okay, I'm excited. We're gonna find. We'll hear. That's a to be continued on that front. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Thanks for hosting,
cue
Benjamin.
up. Yeah, of course. Let me cue up this music. Here we go. Let's do it. You've been listening to Game Brain, produced and edited by Matthew Robinson, Tom Donnelly, Trey Alsop, and Ben Mandlicker, and Nothing by Paul.
Nothing by
Special
Paul.
thanks to Daedalus for our incredible music. More on Daedalus at GameBrainPod.com. And thanks to Edamar Peleg, but not Paul, for our incredible graphics. Be sure to check him out on Instagram at Krubuloni. Don't look at Paul's. Or his website, krubuloni.com. You can reach us by email at contact@gamebrainpod.com unless you are Paul. And thanks for listening, and go play some games with friends, but definitely not Paul.
Fuck you, Paul.
Am I still here?